Alright, everybody. So I read this book, which is called Flatland by Edwin Arthur Abbott, and this is a book that is basically about this main character whose name is just a square, and he's literally a square, like when you draw a square on a piece of paper, just like this orange square right here. And he lives in this flat space, just like this paper. This square is like on this piece of paper. It's like flat, and it's about how he lives his life in his universe, which is totally flat, and um, how the society in Flatland works. And then later in the book, it talks about other dimensions like Spaceland, where Spaceland is not totally flat. It has a third dimension, and it enters into space, so it's three-dimensional. As far as Flatland goes, like the place, this book does a really good job of explaining like this flat universe that the square lives in. It talks about the different types of people in the universe, and like how people see, how they get around, like how they do their jobs and stuff. And it's really interesting. I thought a really interesting aspect of this book was the geometrical complexity of whatever character defines how important they are in the society. So in the book, all the characters are shapes. They're squares or triangles or pentagons or something like that. And the more sides that a character has, like the smarter they are, the less likely to be violent they are, the more affluent they are. And then the smaller amount of sides they have, the more looked down upon they are, the more expected they are to do crime and kill people and stuff. And I thought that was really really an interesting way to put that. And they have this class system based on how many sides you have to your shape, and how equal the sides are. So like a square, like all the sides are equal, but like a rectangle is a little different, so that's not all the sides are equal, so it's not as good. And there's some interesting stuff like that. After it explains all the stuff about the society that they live in, they start talking about other dimensions, like the square. He meets this character, and they go on this adventure about to go through different dimensions and see what they're like. And it's really interesting to see from a two-dimensional perspective, like the square's perspective, how other dimensions look and how he experiences them. I think it's a really interesting book. I don't think that it's really hard to understand. I think if you just go through it and believe that you can understand it, it'll be fine. And in my opinion, all the stuff that's a little bit hard to understand is kind of spelled out, because there's like diagrams in the book that as Abbott is explaining stuff, he'll like draw a diagram to help you understand what's going on. And so I think that's basically the only hard part, is getting around the fact that there is some geometry involved. But other than that, I think this is a really good book, and more importantly, I think it's a really interesting way to open up your perspective on how you look at things, because I feel like after you have a good idea of how different dimensions work and how you experience them, it's good for your overall perception, and it makes you think about stuff in different ways. So I think that this is a really good book, and I would recommend this book, Flatland, by Edwin Abbott. And it's only like 100 pages. It's like you could read this in a day or two. It's not a heavy read. The font is not super small. That's a decent sized font, and it's not like super thin margins. So you could read this book. I recommend it.